Hello, and welcome to NotesIn9. I'm David Leedy. Episode 167, Learning XPages Part 8, Working Towards CRUD. Sadly, this show contains Domino Designer's dirty laundry. Okay, just a couple quick comments before the show. Actually, I recorded the demo several weeks ago, and I had to actually kind of quickly review it just to remember what this one was. But here, what we're going to try to do is work into the company and get into more CRUD operations, saving and loading and editing, and I forget if I got to delete or not, but if I didn't, I'll get to it shortly. This show does contain a couple kind of glitches, Domino Designer, that I didn't try to highlight, but I didn't try to hide either. So there are some problems sometimes and annoyances with working with it. And again, I have mentioned that to IBM on many occasions, and I hopes that one day will get fixed. So anyway, with all that being said, let's go right to the demo. Okay, so this is pretty much where we left off at the end of the last show. That and also the Eagles were winning, and they would go on to win 27-0 against the New York Giants. So yay. Okay, so the way we're doing this is if we pass in a parameter where the company equals new, then we actually got this unique key here. But you know what? It's not too much good if the unique key that we generate is editable at every point in time. So we don't want that to be an editable unique key. Okay, so let's fix that first. We're going to go to our company X page. And if we look at this unique, this is an input text. Okay, so an input text is basically an edit box up here. There's another. This needs to come up here. This should come up here so it gets out of my way. All right, this should give us more room. So there's another thing here called computed field. Okay, so if I drag a computed field, let's just say after this TD, it moves it up here because Designer sometimes kind of sucks. I don't know why it does that, but that does get annoying, does it not? I've mentioned that several times, so hopefully it's on some list to fix. But the tag for a computer field is an XP text. So I'm just going to make the input text an XP text. And that should solve that problem handily. So again, a lot of once you get pretty good, a lot of people stop using the IDE designer. Well, I'm not quite there yet myself, so I go back and forth a lot. But if you can see, it even looks different here. So let's do a quick refresh and just see what happens. Come back to the home page, hit new, and now we can no longer edit it. All right, so simple enough. Now it's not going to do us much good if we can't save it. So let's think about adding a save button here. So we're going to come to our page and we're going to just drag in a button. And you know what really kind of stinks is that this is not an alphabetical order. I don't quite know the reasoning behind that. It's something else I kind of mentioned, and hopefully again that will be fixed at some point. But what you can do is I right-clicked in here, customize palette, come up here, and you can actually alphabetize it yourself by clicking here and then going all the way up. It's kind of a annoying exercise, but once you go ahead and actually get that done, life is just so much better having it alphabetized. So you do get more productive. And I'm not going to do it all now, but that's how you go about doing it. I will move a computed field up because I use a lot of those, and that's usually the one that I end up looking for. So we're just going to apply that, and it moved it right away. Okay, so again, getting back to, we need to find the button, which could have helped if I would have moved that one up there. We're going to just drop that on. We're going to name this save. Okay, now the button has events. Oops, let's click on it. And we can see an on-click event. Now if we go to our controller for this page, if you remember we have this controller, we have the before page load, and we have the get company. So I'm going to show you a couple kind of ways to do this. One way should be to go into the script editor, and we're going to do this, and we're going to change this to, oops, I thought expression language would be there. let's actually use server-side JavaScript for the moment. So to get a hold of these fields up here, what have we been doing? We've been going through the controller. We're getting the company, and we're getting the method. Well, that works for something like the save as well. But again, we're in server-side JavaScript, so it's going to look a little different. And then here we're going to use the getter, get company, with the parentheses, dot, save. There's no getter set for a save right now. So this is server-side JavaScript, and if we look at it here, you can kind of see that here, and this should perfectly work. Oops, I didn't mean to double click there. Let's just do a quick refresh. I'll come in here, start again, test 1 or test 2, whatever. Hit save. Now there's no message coming back, but if we come to our database, we should see test 2. So it's saving. Another way you can do this, which I sometimes do, is I actually go into the controller and I create a helper method. Public save, or we'll do public void save. And inside here, I'm just going to do the this exact same thing. So we can do this dot company, oops, dot save. Okay, and what we would do then is on our X page is all we would have to do is we can get rid of that because we're getting inside the controller. Save. And trust me on this one that it actually will work. All right, well, let's do it because I wouldn't trust me either. I've met myself. So we're going to refresh the design. Come here. Network. New company. Test. This time we'll do test 1. And say save. And now we've got the test 1. So it works either way. Now, why would you want to do that? Because that really does kind of seem like redundant or so. Well, maybe inside here you want to just have multiple things going on. Or you want to return a message to your page, which we're actually going to be doing in a few minutes. So you can make a convenience method by basically wrapping up this method and putting it a little more conveniently inside here. Okay, but we do want to try to avoid server-side JavaScript where possible. And quite honestly, I wouldn't go to any extra effort to avoid this. Quite honestly, I don't care. I don't think it's a big performance problem, or so. The code is still pretty small in the XML. But if we wanted to just take it to that next step, I believe, and I'm going to do this for the first time. I think I quite honestly don't do this that often. Is let's first we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to come here to all properties of the button. And this onclick. Now, this is really like a different kind of onclick. This should hopefully bind it. Now, this is where you could put in some client-side JavaScript. We don't want that. And we're going to do compute value here with the diamond. So you can compute anything in XPages with these diamonds. And here we're going to do, if you spell it right, controller.save. Now, again, there's no get or parentheses at that stage of the game. So, because I really don't know if this is going to work, I'm going to do file, options, refresh design. I'm going to try this one more time. New company, and it didn't like that. Really, that's why I keep using server-side JavaScript for that kind of stuff, and I have to figure out what's going on here, and then we just get rid of that and put it back. And when I figure that out, I'll mention that in another video. So we're just going to go ahead and put this right back. See, this is live. We're cooking with gas here. And we'll put that back. Now notice we're doing a full update, and we can get into partial updates, which we haven't talked about, but we will in a little bit. Okay, so as I ponder that EL thing that I probably should have practiced, let's add a couple more buttons to our home page here, or not our company page here. Let's drag on 2 buttons here, and another one. And again, you should mock this all up ahead of time and stuff like that, and know what you're doing. And I am literally just winging it a little bit, and we're going to clean as we go. It's all revisions. We're going to have a home button, and we're going to have a delete button. What would you call that? Delete company. Okay. So the home button, there's 100 different ways to do this. And we're going to go to events, and here let's try a simple action. Okay. We could do an add action, and there's all these different simple actions here, and one of them is simply open page. And we can say the name of page to open. We'll call that home. We don't really target document or anything like that involved here, so we'll just say home, and we'll call that done. Delete company. That's going to be a little different here. Is we're going to do an add action, and we're going to do a confirm action here. Are you sure you want this company? And then underneath it, we'll add another action, and then this will be an execute script. And we're going to stick with JavaScript server side, since EL was not our friend a minute ago. But we could probably do this in EL at some way, but now I'm gun shy. So let's go back here to that execute script, and we're going to say controller.get company .remove. And quite honestly, I forget if I made a remove method yet, so we're going to see if we do. I think I did. Okay, so if this is confirmed, it will keep going. If it's not, then it will not. And let's just double check that we have a remove method in our, and we do. So this should delete the document, assuming I've got deletion access in the ACL. And I showed this several videos ago, but application access control. Default has no access. I have delete. No, I don't. I do. I don't. No, I do. It's just that easy. Okay. Okay. So if we come back to our, oops. Oh yeah, you can double click on this to make things bigger. I rarely do that though. Okay. So let's just see what happens here. Refresh the design. Come here, back to network. New company. And it says delete company, though it's kind of dumb to delete something that doesn't exist. So we're going to deal with that in a minute. And we're going to say home. Does home work? And home does work. Okay, I know we haven't loaded anything yet, but we definitely do not want to see a delete button on a new document, right? Because that just doesn't make any sense. And that is why. See, I did do some planning. Don't say I didn't do any. That's why we made this thing, new company. So we have a boolean available with a getter and a setter. And I believe it should be called. Well, where is it? It should be is new company, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, here it is. Oh, I'm not sorting this. Yeah, click this button here, and then it puts all these things in alphabetical order. It took me probably 4 years to discover that button. Now, I wasn't doing Java the whole time, but it took me a long time into Java to discover that button. So there you go. Merry Christmas. Okay, so is new company. And we're going to come back to our company, delete company, this button. We're going to say this visible. Now, I don't know why they do this. This says visible here, but in the all properties, it's actually going to be rendered. And if we scroll down, we can see it. So renders is the exact same thing. It doesn't matter where you type that in. So compute value. And here we can go back to EL, and we'll say controller, company, new company. We don't need the is business. And again, just to prove that I was right, there is the rendered. Okay. So now we should no longer see that button on new companies. And we see it because it's coming back true. So what we want to do is we want this to be come back as we need to negate this because it's rendering this is getting a true, right? And we want it to be the opposite in this case. So there is a way to do this in EL, and quite honestly I forget. I think it's like an NE or something like that. So I'm just going to go to server-side JavaScript. This will be get company. company dot is new company. And that should work. And there's a whole bunch of ways to do that in EL. There's like a little language there, and I'm trying to get, quite honestly, Jesse to provide a video with examples of that, and then I'll make a cheat sheet and get that out. I just don't use that stuff enough to really remember it, quite honestly. But I know you can, so that's kind of half the battle, knowing that you can. We'll try this one more time. New, and now it's gone. Okay, so what we did was we controlled the rendering of this button. Okay? To see if the delete's going to work, or again, I haven't made a method to load this yet, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the key, I'm going to copy that to the clipboard, and I'm going to paste it in here and say this. But what if someone pastes something that doesn't exist? Okay, now there's nothing. This is an invalid code. Well, let's take care of that first. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a panel, and that's under container controls, and this is going to equate to a div basically, and this whole everything I'm going to put inside that panel. So the way I'm going to do that this time is I'm going to take this end tag, and you can get fancy with the outline and drag things around or so. I'm just going to move that end tag there. So now everything is in this panel. And then I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to basically do the same thing for visible. But I'm going to say controller.get company dot is valid. So if it's valid, this will, and we can even put a return in here if we wanted to be crazy. So if it's valid, this will return true to the rendering event or property, whatever it's called. And if it's not valid, it will not return true. It will return false because that's something I put in the company object itself. Remember, a couple shows ago, or however I end up publishing this, I've got an is valid in here somewhere. And if I load it and we load the documents, then I set the valid to true. But if the document does not exist, it's set to false. So let's just check that bad boy out again. And we're going to do it one more time here. And that did not work because something went wrong. And we're going to check this. I don't have a problem. I'm going to come down here and see return controller. Oops. See, you mess up your EL and your server-side JavaScript, and it can ruin your day. So I missed the parentheses there, and I'm pretty sure that's what the problem's going to be. Okay, see, now it's all gone. So if someone puts in an invalid code or they're just messing around, they're not going to get to do anything anyway. So the only codes that are going to work is the word new or a valid code that has been saved. And we'll prove that again by recopying this, which probably was already in my clipboard, and then we'll load it this way. Oh, I copied too much. That T shouldn't be there. Okay, I was about to say that was disappointing, but again, I just copied that T. Okay. Okay, so it's fine time for us to actually see the companies that we've saved. And I'm going to just drop a little list of all the companies we've saved right in here on the home page for the time being. And we are not going to get fancy with this at all. So we're going to come back, close out of here, go to the home page. And I'm going to drop in my favorite control is the repeat control. Okay, now we're not even going to do anything fancy Java-wise. We're going to do just old school for now. Probably I'll swap it out for Java or whatever at some point, but we're just going to bind to a view. So we drop this repeat control on, and we're going to say define data source, And this can be a domino view. And this will be company by name. That works for me. And we'll just call this company view. We could have left it view 1. And now we're going to do, just drop some stuff in. Computed field. Okay, now when you work with a repeat control, this is very important, this collection name. This is the most important thing you can fill in. It's also the dumbest name label inside of XPages. It's a lot of times what we do is we call this row data. This is going to be the variable name for the individual row that you're working on, so you have a way to access that row. If we go to all properties and come in here, it's row data. I don't really know where collection name comes from because it's not the name of a collection, it's the name of the current row that you're iterating off of. We can even do row index, though we might not even use that. So row data is kind of a repeat limit of 30 companies at a time, and we're kind of good to go here. So this field value should be row data and then name. And then let's see what that does. Actually, I haven't touched notes views in a little while, so I'm kind of curious as much as you might be. And there it is, test 1, test 2. Now they're kind of next to each other because I didn't put an enter or a break there or anything like that. So I could do this, just an enter here, and then it would look better, but probably we're going to need to have some kind of table. So I'm going to come down here for the moment, and we're going to just make a table. And I don't know how many columns we need. Let's call it 6. And we'll leave everything else alone for the moment. We'll do name, address 1, address 2. Actually, let's not do that. Let's just make that address. City, state, zip. And then I'm going to come here. This is where sometimes the source can really speed things up. Is we're going to come in here and make that's already the name. And then we'll just use address 1 for the time being. And then this will be city. Zip. Okay, and then we've got a blank one on the end of each. So let's just look in. Okay, but now we have to get this inside the repeat control. So this is really not the official way. The way I'm about to do this is not the official way to do it. It's to use these facets and stuff like that, which I have not yet really figured out. That messed me up. Did okay. So I'm gonna cheat, and there are reasons why you don't want to do this cheat, but it's really not going to affect me here as far as I know. So this repeat, I'm going to move the repeat control underneath the header row. Okay, and then these rows, and first let's get rid of the name that was in here, and then these rows I'm going to move inside the repeat itself. And then after the repeat, I'm going to close off the table. So let's see what that looks like. And again, I just have not personally grasped the whole facet thing, but I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point on the show. Okay, so it's an ugly table, but it's a table nonetheless. Luckily, we have Bootstrap, so we can go into this table and we can hit the style and we can say table, condensed. I think there's a table striped even. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that actually doesn't look all that bad. So we got some striped. We could add a hover to it. I don't have anything too filled in here yet, but we're getting there. Okay, so we're going to go to the end of our table, to this last guy here. We're going to drag a link tab in, because we want some way to open an existing document. You know, it's the whole read our part of CRUD, and it moved it up here again, which, God, I hate that. You see that a lot in mobile controls. I don't usually see it here, so I'm kind of surprised that it's there, or maybe I've just gotten used to it. I'm not quite sure, but blah. Okay, so link, and we're gonna click on. We're gonna make it say open. Okay, that makes sense. We're gonna come over here, link type, open page, and company. It's gonna open the company page, and let's make it look like a button. Let's do this guy right here. Button primary. But now it's not, this isn't enough. We have to have a parameter in here, right? We need to know which company we want to open. So let's go to all properties and the parameters. And I did this earlier with a new, right? So I call this company and I physically typed in new. Okay, well, we can't use new anymore because we have to know it could be any of 30 at a time on the repeat control. So we're going to compute this. And we're going to go to our expression language, and we're going to use that variable name we set, row data dot, and we're going to call it unique. And we're going to see if that works. And if that works, I'll show you why it works. But let's just see if it works first, because this is not my first time attempting this. I don't use the views as much anymore as I used to. Oops. So we're going to see if this works, and it does. Look at that. P2P, test 1 and test 2. That's a brilliant thing. So again, there's no Java fanciness. It's just old school XPages, and this repeat is bound to this view, company by name. Company by name actually has a column called unique, and I don't recall. If you remember, I'm using EL, and I'm doing row data.unique. I don't recall if it's locked in on the programmatic name, which is what you think it would be, or it's actually locked in on the title of the column. Back when XPages came out, there was something about where it ignored this programmatic name and was actually using the title of the column name. So without getting into it, I don't know which one it's using or if they fixed that or not. But that's where it's getting this from. So if this column did not exist in the view, then I could not get that this way. The reason why I want it to be in the view is because it's faster, because you're getting a notes view entry that has the property already built in, and you don't have to go out and get the document or anything like that. I mean, we could have gone into we could have done something like this if we wanted to. Oops, let's go to the parameters and compute, and we're going to compute this one. I'm just going to get rid of that. We could have done something like this: row data dot get document dot get item value string unique. And what this will do is it will go back to the document and then do a get item value string. But this, I mean, it actually is pretty fast, but this can be expensive, especially if you want to do this for many columns in a table. The notes view entry, which is what the row data really is, it's really an XSP view entry. So if we come to this XSP thing here, XSP view entry, and here's that get document method right here. So you can get to the column values and stuff directly if they're in the view and you're using the view indexer, and get the node ID and all that good stuff. So pay attention to this reference tab. There's kind of good stuff in here, but I want to stick to EL because we know that worked. Not that the other wouldn't work. Yeah, we're going to put that back. Okay, so let's see where we're at. So now we can create a new company. We can say Avengers Stark Tower top floor New York. I can spell New York and whatever that is. And we can save that. Okay, now we're not getting much feedback on the save. We'll deal with that later on. But now we have that. But we're missing this second part, this address too. Let's fill that in while we're here and thinking about it. Come back here to our repeat. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to copy this, hit an enter, and do address 2. Okay, now that's kind of great, but now we've got, this a blank line is going to appear no matter what, in this enter. Well, we're better than that, hopefully. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to do an XP span. And I'm going to put this stuff inside this XP span, and I'm going to compute the rendering of this XP span. So this break and this line should only appear if there's actually 2 lines. Okay, now how are we going to do that? Use our old friend server-side JavaScript. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to say row data get column value address 2, get the value of that column. I'm going to say dot is empty. Okay, now how do I know to do that? And actually, we have to negate this, by the way. So if it is empty, true, we don't want that true to return and actually render it. We want the false to return that. Okay, so let's kind of see how we can work through this. What I like to do sometimes is var temp string, and that gives me some like type ahead stuff. So if we now do temp dot, we should have seen it. Is that the key differentiator here? Let's get rid of this. Okay, there it is. So this will go away when we save it. So again, the editor sometimes gets finicky. So now we can just see all the methods for this string. Okay, and one of them is this is empty, which is a boolean. Okay, and I'm not sure what is strict empty is or anything like that. Okay, so we could say var temp equals string equals row data get column value, and let's get rid of this. Okay, so that just puts that in there. So then we can say temp dot is empty, and again, of course, we have to negate that. So I just shorten, because I've been through this process many times, I just shorten that to be what it is. And let's see what happens there. And again, I know this is kind of like, probably not the best progression. My kind of goal here is just to show you as much as I can. All right, so this is now showing the top floor. If we were to look at this one, and actually let's edit this one, and we'll give this a value there. Test. Now there's room here because of the button, but if we inspect this element, if I can, I almost had it. Inspect element and go to the actual page, you can see there's nothing else with it. So this is kind of what it gets computed as. These things test. There's no BR here or anything like that. It just goes to the next table. So that's how we know it's working. Oops. And with that, I think we will take a break. And that's the demo. If you have any questions for me, here's my information, and I thank you for your time.